Are you ready, Chris?
I'm ready. Shoot. Ask me anything, Nikki.
What's your favourite colour? No, no. I already know what your favourite colour is.
Okay.
So everyone who's joining now, because the room is steadily filling up, just giving you a generalised overview of the point of an AMA, but also how we do it here. And for those of you joining who have missed the first part that I mentioned, that San isn't joining us today, he's had a change of plans, so it's just Chris and myself. Our AMAs are slightly different because you are incredibly interested in what we do. Therefore, you ask a lot of questions, and it's impossible for us to answer all of those questions in the hour time slot that we have available. So we have to go through all your questions well in advance, which we have done, and try and answer them in the best way we can in the time that we have. So, without further ado, because we've got quite a small time slot today because San isn't here, we can't dedicate as much time. First question, Chris. It's actually about the up-and-coming update coming out next Monday. If you don't know, on Monday we have the editing tools finally joining us as part of the property development feature. And our first question is about that. How
Okay.
often do you anticipate adding new items to the catalogue of assets that they can put on their plots?
Um, I think we're not certain yet. It depends, as with a lot of what we do, it depends on what the community want and what the community do. If over the Christmas period we find out that the um, new new things to place are incredibly popular and everybody loves stamping down as many things as they can, then we'll almost certainly produce more. If it turns out that everybody's happy with chickens, then we'll probably focus on making other things better.
No one
But
knows about the chickens, just saying.
oh, now they know about chickens. Um, so yeah, I mean, we will adapt our plans as always to what the community wants. The reason I'm always very anti-roadmap is it stops us being able to adapt to what people want.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it turns out they're popular and people want more, we'll definitely produce more.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good point that you made there is that the point of roadmaps is to be quite rigid in design and intent and planning. And I think this app is unlike any other that I've experienced because a lot of the development that we do is entirely tailored around the needs and will of the community. So to be so rigid is not beneficial in this case because if you guys want something or use something in a way that would be beneficial for us to develop something quickly within a short period of time or a 2-month or 3-month time frame or whatever is required, and we have a roadmap that says no, we're going to just disappoint people if we've set out a roadmap. So next question, are you ready, Chris? When will custom assets be imported and what format will we allow at first?
Big subject.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely don't have a timescale for this one. It really is a difficult one. I can say every piece of work we do to improve Infiniverse, we've got in our mind about making sure that it's the next step to unlocking the ability for our users to do it. So when I'm adding in the systems that allow plots to be placed in the back of my head, when I'm saying, okay, how do we get new models into the Infiniverse? I'm thinking, let's make sure this is the first step to getting users able to do it. But it's a big job. It's fraught with all kinds of problems, like making sure users can't break the app by uploading dodgy things or expensive things, and making sure you're fair about how you share out memory. So if somebody builds something big in one plot and then small in another, it all goes crazy. I mean, I can tell you, I am relatively certain that from a technical perspective, what we're building will involve uploading content via Unity, I think.
Yeah.
So you'd pull a mesh and various bits and pieces into Unity, and then use a Unity plugin to upload to Multiverse. The reason for doing that is one of the biggest bits of work with any kind of user-generated content is importing the content in the first place.
Yep.
Turning an FBX file into something that can be viewed in a game. And Unity have spent millions making that work, so we probably hijack their work to make that work for us.
It makes sense. Use something that's already done the hard part of doing that. Why reinvent the wheel if somebody's already done that for us? So
yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense. I know a lot of people have been talking in the community about hiring people to make statues for them so that they could be imported into the app, and that kind of mindset and that kind of creative thinking is something I personally am really excited to see and how it actually occurs in the future. But like you said, it is entirely up to you and what you're capable of implementing in a way that's fair, just, and doesn't blow up the app, I suppose, because we already know adding too much in makes things lag, makes things slower, causes problems on people's headsets. So we want to avoid that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the lesson I learned working on Little Big Planet back in the day was if you use your own tools, then they will get better and better and better, and eventually they'll be good enough for the community.
Exactly.
And that's the way I see this problem. So as we're making the tools for our own artists to be able to get new content into the Infiniverse, we're edging towards the point at which our users can. And the reason we've released good editors in user-generated content games I've worked in the past was because our own internal designers had to use the same editor to make our own levels. And suddenly when you released it, that's the key. And that's how we're working towards it at the moment.
On that subject about editors using the tools already, instead of the focus being on custom content going in, the catalogue itself has already got some quite awesome stuff in there. I know Marco and Roman have created some interesting things, and I'm looking
and they're both
forward.
a bit crazy. So.
That Marco in particular, you should see. Like, you don't see Marco's selection of incredible shirts, but they are occasionally the highlight of my Zoom call every Monday. So almost as majestic as Leon's hair. Next question: if we put a building on a green space, will we be able to move it around when external assets come? So I think the logic behind that is if we're placing or setting up things now and we want to add a statue or external assets later, but we need to clear space, can they move the buildings to make space?
We've flushed out pretty much exactly what the rules are for this kind of thing now, so I can explain them fairly well. Ultimately, there's a point, as people will find when they use the editor, where you can edit and build and do things, and at some point you have to click apply. That's the point at which you pay for any extra bits you've done, and it gets sent off and built and added to Infiniverse. Once something has been applied to Infiniverse, so people can go around and actually see it and walk up to it, certain things become restricted. So you stop being able to change certain things. And those things are basically things somebody can actually buy into, really. So if you place down a building, people can buy apartments in, and you can't then remove that building. Certainly not in our first version. But if you place down a statue, you're welcome to change that statue for a different statue later on. If you put a storefront onto a building, you can't remove that storefront once it's been applied because somebody might have been able to buy it. Same with jetpacks. People buy into a building to use that jetpack. So there are restrictions, and specifically the one you're referring to, if I've placed a building, can I move it? The answer initially will be, once you've clicked apply and you've sent it to the Infiniverse for people to be able to buy into, no, you won't be able to move it. But you will be able to say, I want to swap out that green area with a different statue, or want to get rid of this old statue that I put in and use a new one.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in the future, I could envisage a system where if you've locked a building and bought all of the apartments back from anyone who owned them, then you can knock it down. But we won't be launching with something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned something about the plot owner statues.
Which bit about the plot owner
And
statues?
that they can move or something. That was one of the exceptions I believe you mentioned.
I mean, from my perspective, the plot owner statues are like anything else. I've added the code to allow you to place down giant ones today, because we did talk about giant gold statues.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm putting in the ability to stamp ones down that are on grass and twice the size of the current ones.
Lovely. I know somebody will be happy.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, but there'll be a statue like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
if you've, I don't know yet. I could imagine in the future there may be some kind of Uber statues that we might restrict you removing because they're so important to the people that buy around them that we consider them of value.
Yeah.
But that won't initially be the case with any of the first round of drops.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense that if you're building out an area and you put a building down and people are buying into it, they're buying into it because of its location, its street name, and what you've created. If you move the goalposts, essentially, then it kind of devalues what they've invested in, really. That makes perfect sense to lock it once it's applied.
We just have to find a line in the sand. We want to lock everything, but we have to lock some stuff.
Yeah.
And we feel that's the right balance.
Mm-hmm.
If people can buy it, then it stays, basically.
The next question is, will non-owned plots of land stop growing so that they don't compete with owned plots of land?
No, the existing non-owned plots of land will continue to function as usual, and people continue to be able to buy them. I don't think they will compete, to be honest, because one, they are more expensive than other plots of land, but two, they're computer generated, and the whole point of this is people are going to be able to create areas that have got a human touch on. So
exactly.
Yeah,
that's more valuable.
You should be able to compete.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you put time and energy into your plot, it's naturally going to be more valuable than a mindlessly growing environment that doesn't have cool statues that you've placed and doesn't have the random chicken. And I think as well, you're actually increasing the value of those buildings, so they're not really competing because you're making it better for those buildings. Next question. Can they have the ability to limit the size of the buildings to create a more suburban or rural setting?
There's a few sides to this. So just to clarify, one of the templates we'll be releasing will be a suburban setting, so you'll be able to create nice village style buildings. There's two sides to this. There's, from a plot owner's perspective, can you restrict how big your building will get? And I mean, the answer to that is, even from day one, you'll be able to choose when to upgrade your building. And you can choose to start out with very small buildings. They're just 2 or 3 apartments high. And if you don't upgrade them, they'll stay small. It's that simple. I think the fancier feature, which you see in our existing villages and we won't have initially, is the concept of, say, a limited or exclusive building.
Exactly.
And what's kind of special about those is it's actually a two-way contract. If once you've created an exclusive building, the person buying into it knows that the plot owner isn't going to be able to make it bigger. And that is kind of special, and it puts extra value on those properties.
Exactly.
And it is something we will be adding. It's probably not going to be on day one because there's only so much complexity we should ship on one day.
Yeah, and that's not that's a bit of an understatement, because I think a lot of people kind of fail to grasp or maybe not understand that this doesn't exist in the app. You've created something that's brand new and it needs to be essentially implemented as a foundation and working. And that took a lot of energy and a lot of time. And I know you were powering through this. There were days where we just couldn't talk to you because you were so focused on getting this done. So adding
there were
stuff...
days you shouldn't. You still did. It was really annoying.
Well,
But,
I mean, I need to check
yeah.
you were alive. Like, that's
Yeah.
it's courteous, if anything. But yeah, I think these little additions or these little plus features are a natural progression of this over time. And it being on your radar, it was already there. So it's good to know that that is there for you, for everyone to look forward to potentially in the future. Next question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel about that. I mean, multiverse from the start has been, I think, for San and I, we've had goals to do things that people haven't done before, and I really feel with areas of this next step, we're really there's stuff here that just doesn't exist and hasn't existed before, and I mean, everybody who's listening to this and is part of it at the moment, I think you're truly part of something new, which doesn't happen often.
Yeah, exactly. I can't think of any other essentially multiplayer online open world real-time generated environment. Like, that's such a big difference to enclosed spaces that have a limit on how many people can be in there, and you are really pushing the limits of the hardware and of the tech that's out there. And I'm looking forward to see how you can create new ways for your community and this community to experience something that's never been done before. True pioneers.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Just don't break it anymore. Don't make the chicken pink. How will the layouts work if your land is part of a lake? Can you build around the lake?
No, I did. I spent a while looking at trying to generate layouts that actually elegantly laid themselves out around a beach or something. I just decided it was too difficult to get reliably good. So you'll be able to convert an entire plot into various different types of things, some of which is like urban areas. And if you do, and a bit of that overlaps some water, that bit of water that it overlaps will disappear and it'll effectively build into the lake. So, I mean, you can very much if you've got plots that are on the border of lakes or actually intersect them, then you can end up with sort of, beachside or lakeside plots of land. And it actually works quite well. It's quite nice being able to create a plot that's on a hill and the buildings come down the hill, and then there's actually a kind of solid barrier where they go into the water a little bit, and you can stand on the road and look out over the lake. So I think that's how we'll be launching, certainly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have said this quite a few times, is that they're looking forward to make their lakes a little bit more not realistic, what's the word, friendly or amenable, where they can just go out on jet skis, etc. I think San was the one who mentioned jet skis as being something utility that we could add to the lake areas. But I think this would probably be the better first step, which is providing a livable building space around lakes. So I'm probably
I'd
be a
love
lot
to get
less
in some
effort.
things like to get things in. I think one of the things I want to do next year, because we'll be working on all sorts of things over the year, is getting more incidental stuff in. So like birds and just, you see the odd dolphin pop out of a lake. That will really add to the feel of the world. So
A
I think,
dolphin in a lake.
yeah, yeah, that kind of thing.
As a trained ecologist, I need to question that logic. A dolphin in a lake. SeaWorld. Come on
It's a
now.
freshwater dolphin.
Oh,
Yeah.
like an Indian pink river dolphin. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question kind of nicely leads on to the utilities is, will higher priced buildings have more utilities or amenities since a $5 building shouldn't be the same as a $100 building? Which I think ties quite nicely into our plans about jetpacks.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're releasing with one key utility, which is the jetpacks. And the idea behind the jetpacks is that the larger the building the jetpack is attached to, the better the jetpack will be. So a jetpack in a 100-story building will be able to fly further, a little bit higher and faster than a jetpack in a 5-story building. That's the process we're going to go with, and I think we'll try and apply that to any other utilities we do.
Yeah.
Will be the more valuable the building, the
more valuable the utility.
Yeah, exactly. So most utilities will. I don't know what we'll do in the future with regards to will there be utilities that only exist on certain buildings, but certainly to start with, it'll be about levels.
And those are one of the things that can't move as well. You mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
Just worth pointing it out again. Once you place these jetpacks on a building, because of the thing where the better the building, the better the jetpacks, you can't remove that utility once it's there. Kind of defeats the point of it.
Exactly. But just to be clear with that, I mean, people will find this out when we launch it anyway. But within the editor, you can add storefronts and add buildings and remove storefronts and remove buildings and toggle them and relay out things and all sorts of stuff. And this setting it into stone only happens when you click apply and you commit to that layout. So you can experiment. We're not removing the ability to do that. This is once a jetpack has been put into the world and set in stone and people can use it, that's when it will be locked.
Yeah. For existing plots, will they be able to drop buildings on the grey concrete spaces or change the green space?
Yeah, I think we've pretty much decided we want as much as possible for the existing plots to avoid having one rule for new stuff and another rule for somewhere else. It'll just be confusing, especially for newer users. It's like, where are you going to tell them those rules? So just as with normal plots, we effectively treat the existing developed ones as ones that have already been applied. So you won't be able to delete buildings. You won't be able to delete the landmarks that people care about, like in the art district and things. But you'll be able to add buildings, you'll be able to add storefronts, you'll be able to add jetpacks, you'll be able to change the basic statues for different ones and replace concrete with a pond and all of that stuff. So you'll still have that level of power.
I think San said it quite nicely earlier today, and that the plan ultimately long term is to remove as many limits as possible and put the responsibility in the hands of the landlords and the plot owners.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
This will all just evolve based on the community's usage, and we will respond to how the community responds to the tools and what they do with, because we've seen in the past some very creative ways in which the community makes incredible things out of some, like the storefronts when they first came out, blew our minds. So I can't wait to see what they come up with when they get access to the map room and a vast array of like editing ability, editing potential. I heard that people have been going out trying to grab some empty plots on Tuesday evening, because they have big plans about what they want to do with these editing tools. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Tuesday afternoon next week going in and having a look at some of these obscure creations that no doubt people will create. I'm fully anticipating a complete plot just full of parks or concrete.
Who knows? I don't, and that's exactly why we don't have roadmaps and things, because I don't know what people are going to do with it, and therefore I don't know what's best to do next.
A plot full of chickens. That would be good. The announcement talked about visiting a map room with friends. Is it a public room? How do you share it with others? And what if you just want to be on your own? Is it per shard? How does it work?
The way we've designed it is much like your homeroom, so everybody gets their own map room. It's in their personal metaverse. So just as with your homeroom, if you've set your personal metaverse to be public, then anyone can be in it. If you've set it to be just for you and your friends, then just for you and your friends can be in it. And yeah, if you're in safe mode, then you won't show up as online, so people won't be able to follow you to it.
Yeah.
But in general, you can think of it just like your homeroom. Everybody has their own map room.
That's really
and you
good
can
to know.
modify that map room. Yeah, just that map room shows up on multiverseonline.io, and we'll put nice tutorial pictures in there and things, but you'll be able to change them to be your own photos and stuff.
I'm looking forward to making it fancy. I know there's been, was it Wendy who created the design of the room?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at, everyone already knows from Wendy's workshops just how incredible some of the designs she's come up with have been. Just incredible seeing them out in the wild. Now, the map room, I don't think people are quite prepared for it, to be honest. When I first went in there, I was a little bit taken back by it. I didn't think that kind of stuff was possible. So I can't wait to see people tinkering.
It's going to be good.
I know that we have a video planned to come out soon. I think it's due tomorrow, provided nothing goes wrong with my PC in the meantime. So I'd say let's not tease too much about what's going to be in tomorrow, and let them wait for the video tomorrow. And I 100% think everybody listening shouldn't miss the video that we put out tomorrow. Isn't that right, Chris?
Unless you're missing it to go online.
Yeah, there's that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, do not miss video that's coming out tomorrow. Very important. Next question is, when will all the discounts go away?
All the discounts. So there's multiple discounts. I think we released with 4, didn't we?
Yeah.
2 of them were aimed at helping people get started.
Early Investor and First Plot were the 2 that we edited.
Yeah, and the other 2 are aimed to help people grow cities over time.
Population and gentrification.
Yeah. So the 2 that are aimed to get people started they're being removed. I feel we got the system started. We gave all of our people that joined this project early, you all got, I think, a fair chance to dive in, but you don't want to devalue the system by keeping those incredible discounts around forever. Like, they are valuable, and we want the things people have bought to be valuable, and if we keep giving them away really cheap, they won't have that value. The gentrification and population discounts, they won't be going. They're actually designed to reward people for building. So the population discount applies the more people you manage to attract into your plot. So if you manage to fill up your plot with people, and if you upgrade that plot and get even more people in it, then neighboring plots will get cheaper. So it's a way of encouraging people who are actively investing and playing in the game to allow them to expand. And not, I mean, those are part of the mechanic. Those are designed to be part of the application. So they won't be disappearing.
That's good. I think a few people have mentioned that they want some discounts, and that the discounts staying in some sense is going to be beneficial for not just long-term users, but new players can also have the the benefit of them, the more they get involved. And I know there's a couple of people who've had concerns about the discounts being a big source of new users driving potential. But I think you're also underestimating your own potential as plot owners to bring people in. I think we mentioned right from the get-go that when you buy a plot, it's down to you to make it enticing to a community and nurture that community and take responsibility for showcasing what your communities on your plots have to have on offer and showcase. Like I've seen Bryce Canyon, for example, they went with hit the ground running with that. Also, I saw there was another canyon. Forgive me, I've forgotten the name of it. I think it's slipping me. It's like a friendship something, the FCC or something. I cannot remember it, but I went there and I joined that community too, because it's a collaborative community effort where everyone's got to say. The art district as well, they have big plans. I don't want to give away the big plans because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give out secrets from Tink or if they're even secrets, but I know that the committee's been talking about some of the things they have planned, and I think it's quite inspirational. So yeah, the pull from the plot owners themselves and the community that are on those plots is incredibly important to new users, and I think that's going to be a big driving factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I checked, and it was a long time ago, we were well past over 500,000 apartments sold. So I would like new users to start with to be buying using that initial intro into buying themselves apartments in your plots. To be honest, I'd like them to get started that way and work their way up.
Exactly.
That's the goal. It's not that we're trying to be exclusionary or stop new users from doing plots, but they need to have a value. If you give something away for free, it cheapens it.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes it less special.
Yeah, exactly. The next question that came up kind of in response to the discounts going away is, are we going to have flash sales for plots and land over the coming year, like January sales or Black Fridays, or for the people who may have missed out on the discount?
We may do. I don't know right now. We don't have explicit plans to, but I'm not going to say no. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what makes sense.
Yeah, like everything else with the plot development, I think it just depends on what the community does with the tools that we give them and the demand for it. So, yeah, there's potential. How will the ratio of increased population add enhancements to the plot and work towards the discounts surrounding the plots? Go to the discounts on the plots surrounding. My God, am I having a stroke? What is going on? But yeah, based on how much you spend, how is that helping? How are those two discounts that you said are staying? How are they calculated so that people have a better understanding?
All right. Gonna translate.
Oh my God.
Just for everyone, the person asking the questions, the question she's trying to ask is, how will what I spend on a plot affect what I would pay for neighboring plots?
Yeah.
That's what she's trying to say.
Yeah. And the population as well. So
population. So I can't remember the algorithm exactly off the top of my head. Statues all add a little bit of what I've called gentrification, although I'm told that means something different in countries that aren't England, so we might come up with a nicer name.
Oh yeah. I didn't realise.
Yeah. That's bad developer. But so we have, let's call it prettification, which occurs when you place down statues and things like that. And then we've got population, which goes up when people buy into your land. The more you have of each of them, the more it increases those discounts. And I think currently each of those discounts will closer and closer to knocking 50% off the price of the plot. Kind of curve. So more people buy in, the more you'll get to the point at which neighboring plots are half price. And if you manage to get a super dense city and added, thousands of amazing statues to it, which you couldn't at the moment, but let's assume you could. And in theory, right now, with our code, you could get it down to 75% off. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but that's the current system.
That's pretty good. 75% off that's impressive. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it would take a lot to get there. That's what the maths says can happen. I'm not sure it would be particularly easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a classic sort of curve where doing a little bit starts to knock money off quickly, and it gets harder and harder to get that benefit. The bigger the benefit you want.
Okay, that's good. So it really does help, and it really does count to invest in your plot and encourage people to join your community and promote the communities within it. That's good to know. Next question. Who will be in charge of maps now, and how do they register cities on that map? They've seen that we can put themselves in the Infini Hub now using hub scrapers. So how's that going to work?
Right, so there's a few smaller questions in that one. In terms of cities, one of the things you'll be able to place down on a plot, one of the more expensive upgrades, I suspect, is a hub scraper, as we called them, which is the giant skyscrapers like the Warner Grand Central or Alliance City or
wherever
Empire
there's a
City and things like that. Yeah, wherever there's a city. You'll be able to place those down in a plot. If you place one of those down in a plot, you can change your plot's name and imagery on the website. That plot then will appear under a new cities section in the discovery menu that everybody will be able to find. So they'll be able to jump straight to your new city. And so periodically in the main Infini Hub, when you go through that door, the plan is that the doors will randomly every hour or so switch between different super hubs that are in the world. So you'll stand a chance of being in place of those other doors that people come into when they first enter.
That's pretty cool.
And it is going to be pretty cool. Yeah.
That you did say that they can name their city via the website when they name their plot.
Yeah, basically it's synonymous with the plot. So the city name is that plot's name.
So name it something useful.
Yeah.
Not too non-PC. Remember, every still needs to comply with the Oculus terms and conditions. So if we see things popping up that shouldn't be there, it's not going to stay there for very long, and you don't want that. So make sure that you're still complying with Oculus terms and conditions. But that's pretty awesome, though. I didn't know that you were going to add the new cities feature to the discovery menu. I bet Leon was pleased with that. I'm looking forward to
I didn't think I told him. But
yeah. That's why I said it. I don't think you've told him, have you? No. That's what I thought. Oh God, Leon, if you're listening, you've got work to do.
Oh no, I've done the work. He just doesn't know. I've done it. It's there.
Oh. Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to be able to browse through that and to see which new cities are popping up, because I've seen the hub scrapers and I've seen how to apply them, and I know that if you do put the hub scrapers in, there's a certain level of commitment that you put into that plot. Like, you're not going to do it on a whim.
Yeah. I'm not going to, not going to lie, they're going to be one of the higher price things, and I expect most people, they'll be, to afford to put down a whole hub scraper, which would be a pretty special thing, and you'll need to get people to buy into that plot so that people earn money in it, and once enough people buy into it and you've upgraded it, and it will be a case of working up to the point at which you turn your town into a city.
Yeah, this is basically a cherry on top.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I see this whole side of it as in some ways, I mean, you can call it like a business, you can call it like a game. It's about progression. And I think the hub scraper is near the tip of that progression.
It's also about showboating, and I think if you've got a
It's about showboating.
Yeah. If you've got a hub scraper, you're showboating. Ooh-wee. Especially if you can put your face on it like you did on yours.
Yeah.
Kind of related to this map thing, by the way, is somebody asked the question about the JSON database and being able to keep it up to date, and how often are we going to be updating that information?
So I am working on, in the background, the map will live update in response to people editing the world. Aim would be for after a change had been applied, for that change to be visible on the map, probably within 10 seconds or so. So it'll probably end up being a minute at high density times or something, because servers. But anyway, quick. The data that drives the map will be publicly available, and although the code that reads and generates that data will be different to the stuff we already have, we'll release that code publicly, open source. So whoever wants to download that data, they can. And yeah, just to clarify, part of it will be that all of the existing area that's currently black and doesn't have a map will have map generated for it. The maps will show the new lakes and beaches and things that are in there. It will show terrain, and I'm also going to subtly put the borders of the plots on there as well, so you get a proper idea of what plot you're in.
That's great. I know a lot of people have been asking about that, and I know it's one of these things that people crave and need because of the plots they've been purchasing and their plans and wanting to see where it is. But it's not a small task, and I appreciate it's something that needs some dedicated time and energy. And
listen,
you could do it.
We listen. Yeah, so I mean that's the plan. We're definitely gonna get that one out soon. I think the map's going to be pretty cool. Definitely.
Yeah.
Probably the trickiest thing I'm not sure how to solve instantly with the maps, for those who are working with them, will be telling you when a plot has changed. So we'll be keeping the map up to date, but I'm not sure I'll initially have a way of you guys, querying the server, tell me the most recent 10 plots that have updated. I'll be thinking about it, but that probably won't be a Monday thing.
No, definitely not next Monday at least. Holy moly. I think as well, I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing how much of that green belt has actually been purchased or built on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're still working with just a big green ring on a map. So I'm interested to see what pops up and what people do with it. Another question.
I did, before you go on, I just semi-linked to that, and somebody was asking about it at some point. The plots, your owned plots, and on top of that, plots that you've modified will be in the discovery menu from Monday as well.
Nice.
In the me section, you'll be able to find all the plots you've purchased and jump to them, or go into them in the map room. And there'll also be a separate list of ones that you're currently working on as well. So
wonderful. Yeah, I forgot to even remember that. The playtesters have been working on that, and they have been doing an incredible job making sure that it's not broken. Even though some
thank you to all of them, by the way.
Exactly. Thanks.
Big thanks go out to those guys, because playtesting can be fun because you get to try something new, but very frustrating because you get to try something broken.
Yeah, exactly.
So we do appreciate it, and it has helped a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And they've done an incredible job at finding and breaking things. I appreciate the breakages, even if it doesn't seem like it. if a user has a paid prescription and it runs out and they don't renew, will their storefront revert back to being available on your plot? And how will we know about it as plot owners?
I mean, we've been very, I think, generous and flexible about not enforcing that rule this year.
Mm-hmm.
We've enforced it very minimally unless we thought somebody was really taking the piss.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously now that we're moving into the world of people being able to buy storefronts on other people's property, next year we will be forcing that a bit more rigidly. So yeah, if somebody's subscription runs out, they haven't renewed it for a good month, then their storefronts will be returned to the public pot, as it were. And if you're the plot owner, that means that from your perspective, the store will be available to be sold again. I don't think there aren't immediate plans to add actual notifications that get emailed out, but it will visually change, obviously.
Yeah, it's good to know. It's good to know, and I also appreciate that some people knew about the storefronts not necessarily being returned after the subscription, but genuinely gone out of their way to make us aware that that's the case, and there've been quite a few nice people giving us a heads up, and they haven't been taking the mick a lot of the time. So those cases are few and far between when people have really been a bit naughty. Will the gifting of apartments or plots be allowed in the game for people who aren't on Oculus? So, for example, I'm thinking maybe an example would be like the joke community.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It delves into the question of NFTs and things. I think that's a huge question for a whole AMA.
Yeah.
We probably need to have an entire discussion on blockchains and things at some point.
Yes.
My instinct is that giving things to players that own the multiverse app is something that will have to wait until we do the NFT thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you need a way to manage digital assets, and the way of managing digital assets is NFTs.
Yep. I think it kind of ties into. I mean, a couple of people have pointed out. We already mentioned previously that we said that we were going to allow the transfer of storefronts, so the trade of storefronts. I think the trade of storefronts and the trade of plots are definitely something that like we said, it's intended. We are intending to do it. It's on our list. We don't have a time frame at this moment. We just need to see how well the foundations are laid and how well the tools that you have work, and if they break, how quickly we can fix them. And then based on how that goes, we'll have a better idea of trading of plots and storefronts. Yeah,
it is. They're both on the list. Storefronts are especially complex for us to solve on that front, because there's the whole issue of which metaverse do you add them to and things like that. And you can't sell it to somebody who's got a subscription that can't fit it. And
exactly.
What if you make somebody an offer, but then the time they accept the offer, you've bought another storefront, so you don't have time to buy it.
Yeah, there's a lot of limiting factors.
Yeah. So it's very much on the plan. It's just tricky. So
I think that also kind of ties into another question that we had about the storefront limits. And have we got intentions to increase or change the limits?
No, we don't. To be honest, we think they're fair.
Yeah.
There's multiple subscription levels.
Exactly.
More storefronts. There is a way.
Sam said something about no, we don't envisage changes to the limits anymore, and the only thing that potentially would happen in the future is the removal of limits, but that would be once a lot of other factors have been developed. It's the same thing about what he mentioned before about wanting to ultimately give control to landowners and allowing them to control things. But we need to make that process as painless as possible and easy without friction.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, right now we feel the subscription prices are fair and we're happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be changing anytime soon.
Cool. And next question is, any updates on the multi-platform situation? I think I can answer that one. We can't tell you about, or we can't announce anything yet. So currently there's no update, but it's being worked on. And when we have information to share, we will definitely share it. So don't worry, we've not forgotten about it. But yes, still a thing.
Exactly. It's one of those things you have to, as Nikki says, we have to be cagey until we're not cagey about that kind of question.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So we have 7 minutes left before we have to wrap up. I'm going to grab some of the questions that have popped up. Are you ready for some rogue questions, Chris?
Yep. Yeah, shoot.
Good. I saw one that popped up that said, what if somebody purchases a plot that already has a hub scraper on it? How's that going to work? The same way it currently does, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, they will get control of that hub scraper. They'll be able to treat it as normal. It will be a hub scraper as though it had been purchased.
Yeah. Would they be able to rename it?
Yeah, I think we may have a last minute change of heart on that because we did talk about some plots will be protected.
Yeah.
And that will involve that is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would we allow somebody to change Grand Central to the Central City to be called something else?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think there will probably be a last minute decision as to whether we'll allow people to change the names of the existing hub scrapers.
Need to chat to San.
We need to chat to San, and probably if we're unsure, we'll start with that restricted and make a decision later on, unless we're certain, because much easier to go change your mind in the positive way than it is in negative.
Exactly. Another question that popped up about the jetpacks, I've just seen it and I'm interested in the answer to. If you don't upgrade the level of, this is also theoretical, but if you don't upgrade and you want to create like a rural suburban building plot and you apply a jetpack on it, are you also crippling the jetpack utility? They'd need to upgrade in order to make that jetpack see its max potential, right?
If you want a jetpack to see its max potential, then it needs to be attached to a building that a lot of people have invested in. But I do want to stress, we've been quite careful to make sure that even a base level jetpack is fun and cool. It doesn't feel crap. The jetpacks start are awesome, and level 1 is awesome, and level 11 is, hang on, trying to avoid swearing, very, very, very awesome.
Extremely awesome.
Extremely awesome.
Extra awesome. Yeah, I think it was like maybe 3 AMAs back when we were first talking about jetpacks. We were throwing away concepts and ideas and brainstorming. Imagine floating islands and having the ability to access them via flying up there, and that it would make the value of getting jetpacks even better. And I like these kind of thought processes and these brainstorms and these concepts and ideas, and it just shows you the potential that people have. Like the base level stuff is people are going to be racing, just racing around your jetpacks. Already see that there's something that's going to be day one, but the future of jetpacks is great, and I as always, look forward to seeing how the community breaks things, because inevitably they're going to, or they're going to use something in a way that was unintended. Like, I do with most of the things that you ask me to test.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Just have a look. Oh, yes. We are very aware of a couple of bugs that were reported over the last few days. And we want to kind of explain that we are very much dealing with a few technical issues, but they're all intentional because the server is being optimized. I think most people have noticed that the servers load better. They run a lot better than they used to. And some of the stuff has been going a bit wonky. Like, we've had a few white statues for a while, and the teapot turned white. That should be fixed now. I've had reports it's been fixed, but the other little bits and pieces are still being worked on, and I believe they should be fixed soon, right?
Yeah. We're working on them bit by bit. We did some pretty significant optimizations and things that certainly made some stuff cooler, but introduced a few bugs in the process. So
yeah, that's standard though.
Yeah.
It's all for the greater good though. Long term, when you're flying around in a jetpack and it's not stuttering and you're not falling from the sky, just think back to the time in which we optimized everything. That's all Stephen's fault. I don't think they know Stephen. I don't think we ever introduced Stephen. Oh no. So we have a new developer who's working on optimizing our servers and caring for our servers. His name's Stephen, and we will blame him for everything that goes wrong. So.
Well, in fairness, as CTO, it is part of my job is to make sure stuff does work. So, yeah.
And in even more
probably
fairness,
is partly my fault.
Stephen has made some
Just
significant improvements since he's joined.
Just realised I stopped streaming the Discord chat there to check server graphs accidentally. Oops.
You and them server
Sorry,
graphs.
Sorry, people in Multiverse.
In the app. But Stephen is doing a great job. I'm just having a look through and see if we can grab one more question before we end. Everyone's just talking about the subscriptions right now. It's not really helpful. See if we can find one more. Not a single question other than color wheel. Okay, like 9 people are asking about color wheel. Let that be our last question. Can they get a color wheel during the editing tool option?
Well, it's not on the list right now, but say, this is the point, isn't it? Like, community led. If it turns out after people play with the plot stuff that the biggest request is changing the color of buildings, then that will go high up the list.
Changing the color
That's
of
how it
buildings.
works.
What about changing the color of chickens? There you go.
No, that's just ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous. Changing the color of teapots, it's acceptable, but changing the color of a chicken? Who'd have thunk it? Oh dear. Well, I think that's the last of the questions for this evening, or afternoon or morning, depending on where you are in the world. We appreciate all of the questions as usual. This time there was an overwhelming number of questions. I'm sorry if we weren't able to answer all of them because it's just Chris and I. I'm pretty sure it would have been twice as long if Sam were here. So if you do have a pressing question, continue to use the Discord under community topics. We check those regularly. I look in there every morning and report back to the team. So if you have a community question that you need an answer to, please post it in the community topics. And I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything to add, Chris?
No. I'm just going to get back to work and carry on fixing bugs.
Get back to work and make sure that everything's ready for Monday. And again, look out for the video that's coming out tomorrow. Do not miss it. Have a good evening, everyone. See you later. Bye.